Hi guys, Drew here. Today I want to talk a bit about banishing, binding, and releasing. And when I say a bit, I mean a little bit. So for me, these three practices kind of overlap. There are definitely differences between them, even if they are somewhat subtle. I guess we should start with ethics. Should we or shouldn't we do these, particularly when we're discussing banishing or binding? There's always, with a lot of people, the concern of threefold return. First, I would say, if you're even asking the question, should I do something or not? Is it ethical? Is it right? Is it okay? Then you're already taking a step in the right direction. For me, our intention is very important. And of course, for most witches, that is true. But I don't worry about this. I don't have any ethical concerns when it comes to binding or banishing. And the reason I don't is because me and Spirit are good. Spirit knows me better than I know myself, but I've already set it up where, my intention is always, and it's known, it is always to do the highest good. That the outcome of whatever working I do or whatever I do on my spiritual path, period, and in my life, that it is for the highest good of myself and hopefully everyone else involved as well. So I'm never going to perform a banishing or a binding out of malice, to be ugly or spiteful or to hurt someone. It's always going to be to protect myself or improve my situation, and preferably the situation for everyone involved. So I personally don't worry about doing these things. For me, if it's not in the highest good, it's not going to work. And even if it works and it seems like it was a bad thing, for instance, somebody maybe was hurt or it seems to have made the situation worse somehow, while I'm going to feel a twinge about it, I'm still going to know in my heart of hearts that what has happened, the outcome is for the highest good. I understand that in this life, in this reality, that what is in the highest good doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it doesn't feel good at all, but there are times when there are hard lessons that need to be learned. So I go in with the highest intentions, with the best intentions. And I don't know if you can hear my dog, but if you ever hear snorty, grunty noises, it's my dog. I really do try to make my world and the world around me a better place. So if I'm doing anything that is somewhat taboo, as long as I feel good within myself and I know that I am doing it with integrity and that my intention is for the highest good, I don't worry about it. I move forward. If I'm at all pissed off, upset, or what have you, I'm not going to work that magic. I don't want to put that energy into what I'm doing. So I personally don't worry about doing these types of things. I'm going to get off topic for a second. This, can you see it? It's really pretty. It's called Fire Crackle Agate. It has nothing to do with binding, banishing, or releasing, but it does have to do with return to sender. Another thing where you might want to think about ethics. I have never, and I don't think I ever would do a return to sender spell. I feel like, personally, if someone's out there throwing magical or energetic shade at me, or around in general, that I don't know, my ego isn't big enough that I need to worry about correcting them. I don't need to send, I'm not a spiteful person. And I feel like Spirit will take care of it. They will learn their lesson. I don't need to help them learn that lesson. Having said that, if I feel that energy coming at me, and there have been times where it has been really subtle, and there have been times where it has been slapping me in the face. And again, this isn't necessarily someone doing spell work at me, but just sending me the evil eye, sending me bad mojo, whether it be intentional or otherwise. I pull out my fire crackle agate because while it does other things, I primarily use it to protect myself and send whatever is being sent at me back to its source. I don't have to worry about who that source is. Typically, you know, but even if you don't, you just feel something happening. The stone sends whatever it is back to its source. And it does so in a gentle, loving way, not to smack them over the head and hurt them per se, but more so that they get back whatever it is they're sending out in a way that they can learn from it and hopefully become a better person who doesn't pollute everybody with their evil eye energy or hexes or whatever. So I highly recommend it. Moving on to Banishing. This is a spell or a magical working to send away a person, an energy, emotions, or a situation. There are many methods to achieve banishing, and I'm only going to name a few. You do fire spells, water spells, work with salt or other herbs, create effigies or puppets, or use directive magic. Now, with banishing and binding spells, they're always sort of seen in a negative light. Banishing is not only something to be used when dealing with a obnoxious neighbor or a hostile coworker or some toxic relationship that may have developed in our lives, but it's also often used in situations where we purify space or ourselves. You know, energetically clearing a space, even using sage or something like that, we are performing a banishing. Now, sometimes those exercises actually neutralize those types of energies, entities, what have you, that we're trying to dispel, but often they banish them. Let's talk about binding. This is a spell or magical working that is basically used to keep someone from doing harm. We're trying to stop an outside influence. We're trying to silence someone so that they keep secrets or stop gossiping. Or perhaps we're trying to keep an entity or an energy in a specific place. Interesting tidbit. Binding magic actually dates back to ancient Greece, and they would often invoke spirits and ghosts in their binding magic. Again, there are many methods for this. I will only name a few. Puppets, dolls, effigies, candle inscription or other forms of candle magic, rune spells, visualization exercises, knot magic, burying things, directive magic. Of course, there are various things you can buy on the market for banishing, binding, and releasing. We ourselves have our little binding kits. There's a little skull candle that's been loaded with specific herbs that are associated with binding and exorcism and things of that nature. A little hematite bead. You burn the candle, say a spell, set your intention, what have you, and as it burns down, it's drawing in the energies, entities, influence, what have you. At the end, you're left with the residual ash from the herbs, the hematite bead, and maybe a small amount of wax. And the idea is that in that residual material, you have sucked in and bound whatever entity, energy, influence, what have you. You take the burlap that's included and you wrap up what's left, tie it off with a piece of hemp twine that's included, and immediately take it and bury it. If you cannot immediately bury it, then it should be placed in a sealed glass jar until the time that you can bury it. And it can also be thrown into stagnant water like ditches or boggy marshes or what have you. Not flowing water like the ocean or rivers or anything like that. I prefer, though, to take it into the wilderness, because I live near wilderness, and bury it in a place that I will never see again. Bury it, turn your back, and walk away. And we actually have on the back example spells for both when you burn the candle and when you bury it. But by turning your back on it and walking away, you send the message that you're completely done with it and it's no longer has any influence or hold over you. So binding is often associated with curses and hexes, and again, it has this really uncomfortable, not so nice connotation. But handfasting is a form of binding. So binding can actually be a very beautiful thing. Let's talk releasing. So releasing is a spell or magical working where we are letting go of mental, emotional, spiritual, even physical attachments of some sort. You know, like old outdated ideas, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, or perhaps relationships or situations that no longer serve us in our life. Again, many methods. Here's a few. Earth, air, fire, water spells of any kind, clearing herbs of all sorts, directive magic, visualization exercises such as cutting cords, and of course, again, on the market, lots of things. We ourselves have a release load that we sell, and there's a little suggestion spell on the wrapper. With releasing, it's really important to be present and open. If we are at all resistant to the release, if we aren't ready to let go yet, it's not going to work. And of course, for any of these methods, working with guides, deity of choice, angels, what have you, could also be of great benefit. So this is a topic I just kind of wanted to touch base with. I think a lot of people might struggle with the ethics of the situation, and hopefully my take on it was helpful, because I don't think it's something, as long as it's not done in malice, I think it's okay. But of course, that's for each of us to decide, and you have to decide for yourself. Anyway, I hope that was interesting, and until next time, much love and gratitude.